All right, Carson Roberts and artist Cher. It's good to see you guys. We've got Cher. I was looking at you a little bit, and it looks like you're doing some. You've got some like exhibitions going on, right? You're at New Renaissance.
Yeah, so I went to New Renaissance, and they decided that, yeah, they would take some of my art. So I have a placement in their like little artist nook, like way in the back, but it's still up there, which is great. I did sell one piece there already. It's one of the smaller pieces. These sizes, the smaller pieces that I've been doing.
Is that
So
a print?
it is a print. It is a print, but I'm doing all monotypes, so printers would normally use. So I mean, it's really, I'm I'm putting stuff together that I'm not sure isn't. I've never taken a class, so I'm just putting stuff together that looks interesting to me. So monoprinting
It's a wood
is
block.
something, and then you're using that same print block over and over again.
Huh, interesting. I think that's old school.
Yes, I think. So that's it.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Carson, are you exhibiting?
No, not quite yet.
I think, Cher, you need to help Carson out. I think that what is happening with Carson's artwork is that he has very large pieces. His pieces are huge. But I don't know if you need to be doing like prints or something. One thing that you're limiting yourself with is that, I mean, you're holding out for like the big exhibition, but Cher is like bouncing around. Like if you look at her, she's very active on like these little sort of, like you're doing urban way. Is it Union Way?
Yes. Yeah, I was doing stuff with Union Way PDX.
Yeah.
That area across the street from Paul's Bookstore, that little store front area. It's like a little mall.
Like that little walk mall.
Mm-hmm.
I did that with you one time. But Carson, yes. Like if you don't get like some smaller pieces or like create some sort of prints, you can't bounce around into like these little nooks and crannies, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely.
He doesn't want to be told what to do.
No. That's good. Yeah, I definitely need to get in those little areas. I feel like I've been more focused on like a internet presence, been trying to like formulate a website a little bit more and think about marketing a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I've been at. You know, I've just been kind of sitting back, just planning, I guess, in a way, just trying to balance everything in life. So yeah, I could definitely do more. So I'll be working on that.
I've seen some of your internet presence. It looks great. So that's really nice.
Yeah, it's just consistently doing it again and again and generating content. So yeah, just focused on kind of integrating a shop with Instagram and seeing how that works with like, you know, spending ad dollars and stuff like that. So yes, I don't know if you've seen it. I guess the explore page is a good place to go, but a lot of people will sell things off of a post. So you just hold onto the post and then you can actually buy directly from it.
What?
Yeah. So it routes you to like a Shopify or e-commerce website, and they can, I don't know, it's kind of like with Instagram, it's, you know, it's all impulse. So you're hoping, not really hoping, but maybe someone will take a educated purchase, you know, but a lot of times it's just a click, and then you're at a purchase screen asking for your credit card. So I think it's just a matter of just spreading it and making sure it's in front of the right eyes. So that's what I've been kind of focusing on.
Well, you know, Anna Duval is like very successful on Instagram. Like I've never sold off of Instagram, but she's consistently being like DM'd and she sells her artwork off of Instagram. And I haven't figured out that model, but I think it is a successful platform for some artists. So we got together, the three of us, to discuss the artists panel. you're in the process of setting one up?
I'm trying to set something up. So right now I have I've met a couple of people.
So you go about the selection of your artists a little bit differently than I do. Like when we put together the panel for at Cerulean Wine, I think all of the artists were like flat wall art. You know, we had Anna Duval and Steve Maker and myself. Everybody's hanging stuff on walls for like interior design. What goes into the decision for selecting artists for your panels?
Do we mesh personality-wise is the big thing. And then if they can work within a collective, and then that's like really my main focus first, to develop relationships with them, with whoever it is that I'm working with. I don't necessarily look at it as our pieces mesh, but if our personalities mesh, then we will figure something out to make some kind of a showing or some works. We'll figure out how to make it work. It's, for me, it's like if we get along, we can make something happen.
I think that's true. I think a lot of it has to do with availability.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why Carson and I worked together so well is because he's just down to like create anything art, you know. Anytime you like reach out and you're like, Carson, let's go do this thing, he's like, yeah, let's create art. He loves it. Doing pop-ups and exhibitions, and I think availability is a big thing, and then that's kind of how you create your crew.
Mm-hmm. How do you find your crew?
A couple of different ways. Like Anna Duval, I met her on Instagram. But she was displaying her art. She's like the resident artist for Momo's on 10th, on Northwest 10th, you know, by the library.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steve Maker, he owns the gallery, the Cultured Pearl in the Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into him because his husband Harvey was like restoring a painting for me. I'd ripped a hole in one of my canvases. And it just happened that like we were doing the June 2019 pop-up gallery at the Ace Hotel. And I just said, hey, we have space. And he's an established artist, and we were very lucky to get him on board. Carson and I met at a bar.
Yeah, just start hitting the bars, Cher. We'll find someone.
Yeah, start drinking. You've been talking about setting up a panel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were talking about how to market like a panel discussion amongst artists.
Yes. So I think that what I'm doing is trying to create a network of events. Mm-hmm. So do an art panel, which can be bounced off as, you know, another event coming up or several events coming up, which could bounce off of what other events that the artists on the panel or the other folks, hopefully, they would be able to use it as a hub, as like a place.
I think that's the ideal. The ideal is that mm-hmm. you, like Carson said, you create an event and then you just keep doing it, and it sort of snowballs into itself and gets, you know, it's like a network of events, you know, just mm-hmm. like social networking, except it's I see where you're going with that. When we did, was it June or July? I think it was July when we did Cerulean. That was the first event that I worked with Carson on. And we tried to do a panel for emerging artists that were looking into getting into the art scene and selling their artwork. And honestly, I'm not sure if that event was very successful. Carson, what's your take on, Cher wasn't there. What did you think of that event as a whole?
I don't know, it was like the first event of hopefully many. So, you got to build the audience. I think knowing your market is important. Considering that artist panel, you had like, specifically you had some like undesirables you thought came and like didn't really contribute or kind of, didn't help anything and just made the event itself, lackluster. I think it's just the audience, just figuring out your market, whether it's selling or whether it's working with artists, just knowing who you want.
Yeah, I think that's true. I would talk against like the way that I brought people in to like attend the event, but Cher and I actually met using that platform. I was paying for meetup.com. I had become an event host, and I used it for the June 2019 event where at the Ace Hotel, and Cher actually showed up. Isn't that how you showed up? You showed up because of meetup.com.
Yes.
But so Cher showed up, and that's how we met. And she actually, did you know that Cher bought this painting like behind me, but the smaller, like the 20 by 16? It's Kandinsky Mimic. She bought the 20 by 16 at the June 2019 pop-up event at Ace Hotel. And so I've turned her painting into a sketch because now this is a 72 by 64. But hers was first.
It's the couch. I wanted to sit in the couch.
Yeah. But so at the July event at Cerulean, what I did was host the event on meetup.com. And that's actually where sort of like, I would say like undesirable people showed up. We were recording the event, and we thought it would be like a panel of like, we're established like emerging artists, Anna Duval, Steve Maker, myself. Steve owns a gallery. Anna pops up everywhere. Like all she does is exhibit like every weekend that she can. And, then I'm doing what I do. And these people kind of showed up and started talking in the middle of our presentation about like why their artwork's not selling, which is fine. We wanted to answer those questions, but they were like interrupting. And so we never even got to talk about how to do it. So meetup.com is like this weird sort of platform that you just have no idea who's going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that a couple times where, just random people that you would never expect. Like you didn't even know that personality existed, like shows up.
You got to get a bouncer.
What else did we do? We used Let's Do It app, which has gone on to be a very successful, he sold that app, I think, to like a Nike platform or something, where they're using it for the campuses. So he stopped using it for the general public, and now he goes to corporations with large campuses and uses his platform to like social network amongst people that are already like working for the same company. And I think I reached out to the college, the PNCA, asked them if they wanted to. I think that would have been a good way to do it, except I didn't have a lot of control over the way that they were reaching out to the students. I think basically it came to somebody in the office putting a flyer up in a hallway or something. But I think that would have been a very good. I think a lot of students can learn from sort of like the business aspect of art. A lot of people, they don't really know what's going on like on the business end of art,
For sure.
What I would suggest is if you're going to record it, that you tell people you're recording it and to ask for them to hold their questions until afterwards. Probably my biggest takeaway from the last panel.
How did the facilitation work?
Cerulean was well, do you know about that space? It used to be a bar. No, I guess it used to be a gallery, and then whoever's running it split it up. and now there's a gallery on one side and a bar on another, and then they put a bunch of couches among the artwork. So it's a gallery slash bar. And they're pretty active in the art scene. And I think Mirko Piazzi knew the owner of the bar and found us the space, you know. And since we were using his app to promote our other events, then it just made sense that he stepped in. If this camera is flipping back and forth between us, like while we talk, like while I was talking, just Carson just let out the biggest yawn.
It's early, man.
Where are you exactly?
I'm at my brother's house in his garage. He's in Thailand, so we're all house watching or house sitting. So,
are you in Eugene?
No, in Oregon City.
Oregon City.
Yeah.
I feel like we got together, the three of us. It's very early in the morning, and I don't know if we have a lot of direction. Carson, give us your 2 cents. Wrap this up.
Yeah. So, I guess what's the purpose of Artist Panel is to like build a community, correct? Or is it to find people to be in your pack?
I thought that the purpose of an artist panel was to give people like a learning platform, you know, like you get these people with more experience. Usually, hopefully you're getting like experts in the field to like get up on the panel and then tell non-experts information that they could use, you know, with running their pop-up galleries or, you know, techniques in the art scene. And that's what I thought that they were for. But I mean, you end up associating with the same people over and over again. You know, you end up working with the people that you know are reliable and that have a good history. You know, I only want to work with people that are selling, you know, because I mean, otherwise it's art as a hobby.
So would you say it's more of like a consultation almost for an audience?
Yeah. What's your take on that, Cher? Like, why would you, I mean, don't you, a consultation, I mean, what about like a poetry reading? Like you show up and it's a poetry reading and you sit there and you listen to somebody read their poetry. Ultimately, they're trying to sell you their book or like sell you some sort of service. And then the artist panel, I think, yeah, the service is that, I mean, artists just don't really know what they're doing. Like when it comes to the business end of selling their art. And I think a lot of people give up, you know, their dreams of being an artist because they don't, you know, you create these pieces and you say, hey, I'm going to be in a gallery. And then you find out that getting into a gallery is like hard, you know. I think it's probably pretty rare that you like get some sort of drugged up person like Basquiat that like has Andy Warhol swoop in and do all the work for you. And I don't even know, I don't know anything about that artist actually at all. So maybe he put a lot more work into it before did he die of a heroin overdose?
He did. I don't think he did drugs till later on.
But
I mean, it was like all about graffiti. It was like a community already built, just like renegade kids in a way. But yeah, I guess with the artist panel, I mean, maybe it should be more of a performance, you know, rather than bring the audience in. Maybe it should just be a discussion amongst artists and people come and like maybe to have, I don't know if it's necessarily has to be about, you know, artists and their, you know, how they market themselves and how they sell and stuff like that, but more about like a conceptual like topic, you know, that multiple artists will talk about and maybe gain more of an audience that wants to listen rather than contribute. I understand that with, you know, your artist panel that you're trying to kind of build that up and talk with artists and how they sell and stuff like that. But you may have a pretty small audience, that may be a very specific few that would actually, benefit, or they would actually want to do that. So I don't know what Cher's trying to do with her panel exactly. Is there like a topic of discussion? Is it about artists emerging?
For me, it's mostly about building community, because that is one of the challenges, I think, especially if you're an artist starting out later in life or coming into the town. I mean, where do you find people to bounce ideas off of, or just talk to, or write to? I mean, that was one of my troubles. I lived here pretty much for a very long time. And although I knew people, I really didn't know any artists. So I started looking, and there was no place to find them. So when I was conceptualizing about what I would want it to be, it would be more like a place where you do get to talk, but not social, like, hi, how you doing? Although that does happen, it would be more like, okay, we're discussing a specific topic, which is art, and that is very broad sense of the word. But also, as we're talking, do we get a sense of who we are and what we're doing, and can we connect at a different level outside of this discussion? So it would be more like the art panel would be like a place to see if you can find other people, find other community. Um, that's what I was thinking of, but I did not want it to be something that was like a meet and greet. I don't know if that makes sense. I really want it to be more focused to see if at some point in the future there's a way to work together, or, it's like, oh, our personalities do not mesh. I do not want to see you ever again. So in that sense, and then, sure, it can turn into a forum where there's a Q&A, but I would want that facilitated in a different type of setting. And, learning about different things, like the business side of art, I would want that set up the topics could be touched on, but let's not get deep into that topic. We could do that at another time. So for me, it would be, the art panel would be discussion, but it would be less at a in-depth level. It's just mostly feeling each other out. And it would be, although the audience would be more towards artists, not necessarily towards people who are buying, but it could also be at some point down the road. That is one of the thoughts that I would have. We would have like a bigger audience that didn't have anything to do necessarily with the business or the making of art. But that goes to how I'm thinking of the art panel as the nucleus, and then branching it out like, neural networks, where it's like you have all these connections in different places, different ways, and hopefully all the connections connect to every little space, but it doesn't have to.
Artists are very sort of solitary, because you're creating your art and you have to do it alone, really. And then when I was branching out, I got tired of like knocking on gallery doors, and it started to, I was failing. I only got into like one gallery over a period of time, and it was exhausting. And so I started Meetup.com, and I think the meetup was called like art marketing, and it was geared towards like people that wanted to get together and talk about marketing. And I would kind of bounce around the city. That's actually how you and Carson met. That's how we met Carson. I met Carson at a bar, and then he showed up, and I guess I knew both of you prior, wasn't it? We all knew each other, and we were the only 3 people that showed up to that event, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we were doing. We were running around and trying to, artists were just not showing up. People were RSVPing to the event and then not showing up. And then, so I was branching out and using Let's Do It app, trying to like bring more people in, and like meetup.com was, and I would also post on Nextdoor app. So I was posting like one event, like one coffee shop meetup group for artists on meetup.com, Nextdoor app, Let's Do It app, and probably Facebook Marketplace, you know, something like that. And people were just not showing up. One thing that I think would have been beneficial is to do on YouTube, there's this one panel, and it's about art licensing your artwork. And I think you could combine like an industry crossover where you bring on an attorney to like talk about art licensing at the same time that you bring in like a real estate developer to talk about, you know, the use of art in space, and stuff like that. I think that you'll get a better turnout if you're combining industries when you're talking about art.
I do think you're right with that. Part of the attraction with the having the two ladies that are very different than what I do is that they have insight to a different part of how art works. I mean, something different to offer. Having that kind of diversity is what makes the community stronger in terms of developing itself from the inside. So if you have these different skill sets internally, then we can all have it as an offering for each other. Okay, yeah, let's see what we can do with this.
Carson, what are your ideas on marketing for the art world? Like, I guess you're an emerging artist. How would you bring people to a panel?
I don't know, you could do like a event marketing on Facebook. You know, I feel like sometimes to get a little jump start, you know, definitely takes some advertising dollars. But to figure out how to market an event, push it out there. But I think the main thing is like, you know, I don't know, it sounds like selfish, I guess, but like, you know, what's the gain? I guess the gain is like building that community, but for other people, what's their gain too? Like it's like almost trying to like sell them on something. You know, why are they going to show up? It takes a real push to like get people out of their norm, especially these people that are intimidated by art. So I guess it's just finding some type of gain, I guess, for them. Like, what's the reward? So finding that reward and then, you know, setting up an event. And I feel like it would take some money being thrown at it, at least to jumpstart it, to make sure it's like out there.
Yeah, you do have to put a little bit of money into it. At Lusalos Salon, when we did that one where they converted the salon into a gallery, I paid for Facebook marketing. I forget what ad space or something, and it said that I got a lot of views. The reach for people went further than my own Facebook network. And again, you've got to offer them something to like get them out of the house.
For sure, absolutely. Whether it be, I mean, you got free wine, but you know, maybe something else for like a considering emerging artist. You know, maybe like, you know, you have the opportunity to maybe be in a raffle to like make it into like an event, or you know, to have your piece presented, whatever it may be, or like an open art critique. So maybe people would actually appreciate people's observations of their art, people that already, you know, are emerging, and you know, that would give them some type of reward, give them some type of confidence. I feel like that's what everyone's lacking, or the people that would be wanting to go. I mean, they have a lack of community. They have a lack of people doing what they're doing that they've met. So they're just kind of lost in a way, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. Initially, like I was telling you, I said to you that you know, the panel would really be about disseminating information. But the more we talk, I think that you're right, that really it comes down to creating like a tribe, you know, like a network of people that like all kind of move as like uncongruent just mass. And that is the gain. Maybe these things, these panels are about, coming together, social acceptance. These pop-up galleries are like where you can find people that are interested in the same type of like, the goddess series, or, what is your series called, Carson? What do you?
My series? I don't know, it depends what one we're talking about. But the most recent one I've been working on, I think it's just based around graffiti and like the voices at play in graffiti, and its strength and the power of it. So I haven't necessarily named it or anything like that. But yeah, it's new, it's fresh. I'm excited to get it out there.
I think we've come a long way since the first time we all met at that cafe.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Well, let's do this again. Let's get together and do another. What are we going to call these? Group
therapy.
Brainstorm.
That the meetups, the meetup.com, like somebody did say that, like it is very therapeutic, because as an artist you really don't have other people to talk to. It's not very many people know other artists that are in the process of like being professional artists. And it's very isolating. So okay, we'll call this a therapy session.
Hey, there you go. Nice.
All right.
But Cereza, when is your event?
So I have a couple of events coming up. I did put something in with the Splendorium. Their
Splendorium.
Yeah, Splendorium.
Oh, nice.
And then there's like a community one down at the Artist Craftsman in North Portland. They're doing black and whites. So I have like a little piece in there. In April and May, I'm in Madrona Cafe for the Goddess series. It's actually symbolism, which encompasses a couple of different pieces in my series, various series. And then I'm actually long-term working on something for Ready Cafe in 2021. So, and Carson. So I'm probably going to be pinging you because they have huge walls, and I'm trying to conceptualize how I'm going to do some of this stuff. I am looking for people who mesh with my personality. So I rely a lot on the community that I'm working with.
Actually, Carson, as you're kind of like making these large pieces, you may want to consider, and I don't know if you are, you have to, how are you hanging these? How do you get those things up on a wall? What's your support structure on the back side of your canvases?
Just wood. So I just nail a nail in the wall and then put on the nail.
Oh yeah, you're a rebel. This guy. breaking all rules.
But yeah, I'll figure something out. Maybe I could like drill something in the back. It's pretty thick stretcher bars, but.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, you guys, have a good Saturday morning.
Yes, I will. See you guys.
Keep in touch.
Hey guys.
Bye. Hi guys, I hope you liked this video. If you guys like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and like.